Bernard Tomic, Australia's former pride or embarrassment for some.
I just count money, that's all I do. I count my millions.
His unorthodox style allowed him to enter the top 20, win 4 ATP titles, and break records. However, Tomic's antics and lifestyle could not escape the eyes of the tennis world and the media. Welcome. In today's video, we will be focusing on Bernard Tomic's polarizing career, his rise to premise, his troublesome shenanigans, and his potential to break through again.
Bernard Tomic is a champion on the ATP World Tour once again.
Reaching an impressive junior world high ranking of 1, Tomic had already won the prestigious Orange Bowl title 3 times and winning the Junior Australian and USA Open Grand Slam titles. At just 13, sports management mogul Mammoth IMG was so impressed with Tomic's talent they offered him a 6-figure contract deal. Turning pro at just 15 years old, Tomic was already looking like Australia's next tennis star since bouncing off his remarkable junior career. He definitely wasn't lacking in confidence, with Tomic himself proclaiming he would become the world's #1 player and would eventually win all the Grand Slam titles on the ATP Tour.
Yeah, I love all the competition in tennis, battle, the trophies, the winning. Yeah, coming back from when no one thinks you can, like Lleyton, I love that. Everything, even when I'm not playing for about 2-3 weeks when I have a holiday, I feel so hungry to come back and win tournaments.
Tomic has an unorthodox playing style, different to most other ATP players. His style has even been compared to that of John McEnroe. In an age of the surging topspin, Tomic's forehand is often considered flat and makes the ball fly over the net with side spin on it. He traditionally plays very passively in the centre of the court and then striking when his opponents don't expect. Despite being 6'5", he defends and moves around the court quite well. Despite his talent, his tennis career from his juniors to present has definitely not been void of controversies and antics.
I just feel a little bit on board out there.
At a time when Tomic was ranked at 354, fellow Australian tennis player and former world #1, Lleyton Hewitt, had heard of Tomic's impressive junior tennis career and called up Tomic's camp to offer a chance to have a practice hit with him. Nonetheless, according to his agent, Tomic declined Hewitt's offer, saying he's not hitting with Lleyton. Lleyton is not good enough. Tomic has since declined making those claims, saying that he didn't want to jeopardize Hewitt's health since Tomic said he had swine flu. Tomic himself wasn't the only one in his team to stir up drama. His outspoken father, John Tomic, also caused some strife during his son's tennis career. During his second round match at the 2010 Australian Open, Tomic battled through a 5-set match against former US Open champion Marian Cilic. The match lasted until 2:09 AM, where Tomic eventually lost to Cilic. John Tomic was upset with the Australian Open officials for scheduling his teenage 17-year-old son's second round battle so late and claimed that if the match was scheduled during the day, Tomic would have definitely won. John Tomic even threatened Australian tennis officials that Bernard would play for Croatia instead of Australia. 2011 was the Australians' breakthrough year. It seemed like Bernard Tomic would put Australia back onto the tennis map. He became the youngest player ever to make it to the Wimbledon quarterfinals in 25 years, since Boris Becker back in 1986. Tomic continued his success on the ATP Tour. He defeated former Wimbledon finalist Thomas Berdych, France's Gael Monfils, and America's Marty Fish en route to win the 2012 Kooyong Classic. At just 19, Tomic became the first teenager ever to win the Kooyong Classic event. Despite this historic win, Tomic had a couple of run-ins with the law. On Australia Day, Tomic was pulled over and fined twice in the Gold Coast by police officers for driving his high-powered orange V8 BMW M3 under provisional license. Despite receiving 2 fines, he continued driving and witnesses even saw him revving his car. It was then he was pulled over again and receiving his 3rd fine during that day. Although he was his father, John Tomic did not do much favours for Bernard's mentality on and off the court. Whilst his father would sit in the player's box, he would often show disappointment gestures at many of his son's matches. During his 2nd round match at the 2012 Miami Open against David Ferrer, Bernard even asked the umpire to kick his own father out of the arena. He was quoted saying to the umpire, "He's annoying. I know he's my father, but he's annoying me. I want him to leave, but how is this possible?"
He's annoying me. I know he's my father, but he's annoying me. I want him to leave, but how's it possible?
And if you tell him to leave, what's going to
It's not going to
happen?
happen.
Well, that's your phone.
During his 2012 US Open campaign, Tomic was accused of tanking during his 2nd round match against Andy Roddick, losing in straight sets 6-3, 6-4, 6-love. Of Tomic's efforts, American tennis legend John McEnroe said, "Tomic is teeting up. It looks like the tank job. That is a shame. You don't like to see this." During the post-match press conference, a reporter asked Tomic about his tanking. However, Tomic decided to interrogate the reporter.
We just cleared up that last set because they made a pretty big deal on TV about it.
Did they?
Tanking or all that kind of stuff. Can you just give us your...
What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think you're a relaxed style. Sometimes people get the wrong impression.
Well, that's how I play. Do you have a problem with that?
No?
No?
I mean, it was on TV and it was a big deal, so it's obviously going to be. So it's better to give you the opportunity now to talk about it, surely, than just...
Yeah, no. That's your prediction. I have mine. That's how I play. If you think that's that, then it's up to you. What's your name, by the way? Will who? From? Okay, I'll remember.
Just a week before Tomic was set to appear at court over his Australian Day driving debacle, he was involved in a physical altercation with a friend at a spa in a Surfers Paradise apartment tower. Queensland police reportedly had to separate Tomic and his friend. Despite no charges or arrests being made, Tomic allegedly reminded the police that he was a famous tennis player and accused them of targeting him. By the end of 2012, the then captain of the Australian Davis Cup team, Patrick Rafter, decided to suspend Tomic from Australia's upcoming tie with Taiwan due to his poor effort and attitude. Despite his troubles, the year 2013 rallied on Tomic's successful ATP run. He defeated former US Open and Wimbledon finalist Kevin Anderson to capture his maiden ATP title at the Sydney Apia International Open. The then 20-year-old even defeated the then world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the Hopman Cup. However, it was during this season when Tomic decided to speed 78 km per hour in a 60 km per hour zone in his $400,000 plus yellow Ferrari F430, despite having only one demerit point remaining due to his Australian Day driving debacle. As a result, Tomic lost his driving license. During Tomic's Madrid Masters campaign, Bernard's father, John Tomic, headbutted Bernard's hitting partner, Thomas Stewart, to the ground unconscious outside a Madrid hotel. Now touted as an angry tennis dad, Tomic Sr. was sentenced to 8 months in prison by the Spanish court and was subsequently banned from the ATP circuit for 12 months. During the 2013 Schoolies Week on Australia's Gold Coast, a shirtless Tomic was photographed receiving a lap dance from 2 women. Tomic was then infamously labelled a toolie. If you may not know, A toolie is someone beyond high school graduating age who attends the Schoolers Week celebration, a party usually reserved for graduating high school students in Australia. In the year 2014, he successfully clinched his second ATP title at the Colombia Open. However, 2014 was not without controversy. During his much anticipated first round matchup with Spanish superstar Rafael Nadal at the Australian Open, Tomic lost the first set 4-6 and then decided to withdraw due to a hip injury. Understandably, the Rod Laver Arena packed crowd was not happy with Tomic and threw boos and jeers at him.
It's been such an anticipated night and clash.
As a result from his hip injury, Tomic rested from the ATP Tour for 3 months. He was unable to join the Australian Davis Cup team for their tie with France. Despite doctors instructing Tomic to rest thoroughly during his rest period in preparation for his hip surgery, he was caught partying heavily at a rented penthouse at Melbourne's Crown Casino, the famed Eve nightclub, and at Speak Easy Kitchen Bar in just a 1-week period. This sparked debate whether Tomic faked his hip injury to avoid playing tennis and focus on partying instead. Just before he was scheduled to compete at the 2014 French Open, controversy rose again for the then 21-year-old. Tomic was allegedly embroiled at a cocaine-fueled event at a Gold Coast penthouse in Surfers Paradise. Australian media claimed that witnesses saw Tomic bring 4 girls, 2 of which were underage, to the penthouse and were offered alcohol and white powder, which was believed to be cocaine. However, Tomic denied the allegations and said he was in Melbourne the whole time during the supposed cocaine party. In the end, Tomic was not wanted for questioning. Throughout 2015, Tomic had a pretty thorough ATP run, making it to the quarterfinals at a total of 9 ATP events, triumphing over players like Fernando Verdasco, David Ferrer, Richard Gasquet, and even compatriot and 2-time Grand Slam winner Lleyton Hewitt. He even successfully defended his Colombia Open title, bringing his ATP title count to 3. However, 2015 was definitely not without drama. The outspoken Tomic used his post-third round Wimbledon loss press conference to voice his differences with Tennis Australia, where he slammed Tennis Australia Chief Executive Craig Tilley and calling Pat Rafter a good actor.
No one's mentioning him. He's doing a lot of stuff. They're holding so much money now down there and doing what they want, increasing their salary, this, that, giving Pat a salary. It's like saying, here, Pat, here's a salary, do something. He doesn't know what he's doing. They're giving him a budget that he doesn't know what he's doing. What's his job? Deal with it, Pat. You're the mask. He's a mask for these guys, Craig and Steve. They don't want to deal with this. They give it to Pat. You do the work. You take care of this and that and that. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's crazy. Meanwhile, he's charging me for balls. Who is it? He's charging me for balls and court at his own arena 9 days before.
Tennis Australia soon hit back at Tomic's accusations. Bernard Tomic post-match allegations about Tennis Australia were misinformed, untrue, and disappointing. Tennis Australia remains committed to implementing the best culture possible with a philosophy of opportunity, not entitlement. Additionally, Australian swimming legend Dawn Fraser was in support of Tennis Australia and slammed Tomic and compatriot Nick Kyrgios in an interview with Sunrise Australia.
I think it's absolutely disgusting. I just am so shocked to think that, he went out there to play and he tanked, did all that tanking. That's terrible. I think they're getting so much money, Carl, and I just think that, they're a disgrace for Australian sportsmen and women. And, they should be setting a better example for the younger generation of this country, this great country of ours. If they don't like it, go back to where their fathers or their parents came from. We don't need them here in this country to act like that.
After his Wimbledon loss, the then 26th ranked player was caught up in the law yet again, this time in Miami, Florida. Tomic was arrested for resisting arrest and trespassing after partying in a $10,000 nightly penthouse rental. Neighbours complained to the security of the penthouse about the noise and loud music coming from Tomic's party. Despite security guards warning Tomic 3 times of the noise and disturbance, Miami police eventually visited the penthouse. After refusing to leave the premise despite police warnings, a shirtless Tomic was eventually arrested and brought to the Miami police station at 5 a.m. In the end, despite his differences with Tennis Australia, Tomic decided to compete for Australia in the Davis Cup tie with Britain. After defeating Daniel Evans during Australia's Davis Cup run at the semi-finals, Tomic was finally able to crack into the top 20 for the first time. In 2016, he defeated former US Open finalist Kei Nishikori en route to the semi-finals of the Brisbane International Open before losing to eventual champion Milos Raonic. This run allowed Tomic to reach number 17 in the world, his highest rank to date up until now. Later in the season at the Madrid Masters, Tomic was accused of tanking yet again during his first round match against Italy's Fabio Fognini. The media again reprised Tomic as Tomic the Tank Engine. Following his moderate 2016 run, 2017 was the year when Tomic's tennis started to decline dramatically. Following the 2017 Australian Open, Tomic failed to make it beyond the first round of any Grand Slams for the rest of that year, and only just made 2 quarter-final appearances at smaller ATP events. After bowing out in the first round of the 2017 Wimbledon Open, Tomic was fined £11,500 for admitting he faked an injury during the event and was bored of tennis.
I just feel, a little bit on board out there, and I've just got to find a sort of way to get back and enjoy tennis again.
We all work for one thing, and I believe you have to respect the sport. But I think I don't respect it enough. Yes, because you can say super talented, but I just believe playing many years on tour now has sort of taken a toll. I know I'm going to play another 10 years, and I know after my career I won't have to work again. So for me, this is mental.
People think it's a amazing life. We are making millions of dollars, and it's sometimes tough mentally to compete and put yourself out there day in, day out. And I'm not the best character to do that.
Have you thought of giving the money back?
Which money?
Prize money, turning up.
Well, if you asked Federer to give back $500 million, would you do that or not?
Or you're just saying you were bored out there?
Well, we all work for money. At 34, maybe I can donate to charity, but if you ask Roger if he'll do it, I'll do it.
Subsequently, due to his comments, he lost a few sponsorships, including one from tennis racket giant Head. Reaction from the tennis world was harsh, with critics and fans slamming the deflated Australian. How did the nation of Laver, Court, Emerson find itself represented by a flake like Bernard Tomic? Pitifully lethargic first round defeat. It is impossible to defend Bernard Tomic with his comments today. I like him. I've known him since he was 12, but I just can't defend him. I asked Tomic if he would hand his £35,000 Wimbledon prize money back, and he astonishingly alluded himself to Roger Federer. Heck of a Tomic press conference going on now at Wimbledon. Says he'll play on for another 10 years, so he doesn't have to work again. Can we deport Bernard Tomic? Bernard Tomic is the biggest pea-heart Australia has ever seen. He is soft as butter. Disgraceful. 18-time Grand Slam winner Martina Navratilova and Australian tennis legend Pat Cash also had harsh words for the young tennis player.
You need to go and work in a factory and do some labour and see what it's like to really work out there, and fight your way through. Or somebody take his money away and say, okay, there you go. I mean, he's too rich too early. It's quite as simple as that.
You take nationally out of it. It's disrespectful to the sport. It's disrespectful to the history of the sport. If you can't get motivated at Wimbledon, it's time to find another job. And most of all, again, the spectators. They paid good money. These people that, probably work in a factory, they spend their good money to come here and watch Wimbledon. And then the guy shows up and doesn't really show up, doesn't try. He can't be bothered.
After a dreadful 2017 season, Tomic splurged $50,000 to reserve a green room package at the high-class Melbourne nightclub Bond. Tomic, along with 25 other friends, enjoyed the package, which involved private security, a private pre-party dinner, fancy champagnes, extravagant caviars, a personalised sound and light show, and even a helicopter ride over Melbourne. When asked of the extraordinary night, Tomic controversially replied, "It is having fun and celebrating, and maybe I just do it in different ways to other people. I was not in Australia for 10 months, and it is a chance to catch up with friends and have an enjoyable night. $50,000 might seem ridiculous to other people, but then again, it is peanuts to me. When you have close to $14 million, I think it only equals to 0.36% of what I am worth, so it is not a lot of money, but it might seem to a lot of other people." At the end of the 2017 season, Tomic's ranking plummeted to 140. At the beginning of the 2018 season, for the first time in a decade, Tomic did not gain direct entry into the main draw of the Australian Open. Due to his low ranking, Tomic had to play in the qualifying tournament in order to secure a place in the main draw. However, Tomic lost to Italy's Lorenzo Sonengo in the final qualifying round and could not get a place. After the match, he was immediately questioned on how the loss will impact his career, with his reply, "I just count money, that's all I do, I count my millions."
Bernie, where does your career go from now?
I just count money, that's all I do. I count my millions. You go do what I did. You go make 13, 14 million. Good luck, guys.
His comments drew heavy criticism from the tennis world. Such potential destroyed by greed and arrogance. I really saw him as a future world number one. So sad. First class flog. Why even give the guy the time of day? He is a disgrace to Tennis Australia and the Australian public. I reckon Bernard Tomic should pay someone else to count his millions so he can practice playing tennis. Former world number one Andy Roddick tweeted, "Maybe stop for a second and think of the millions you've left on the table." After his loss in the Australian Open qualifiers, Tomic made the bizarre decision to enter the reality show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. However, just after being in the show for only 3 days, Tomic quit the show prematurely because he was depressed and he had a desire to return to tennis.
Nah, my head's spinning. I'm just really sick. I'm about to vomit.
Okay.
Guys, I'm out. I'm feeling so sick. I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here. This is the jungle. This is so different. Not what I expected. I don't think I can do it. I think it was best if I go.
His bizarre stint caught the attention of fellow tennis players.
Well, it was great fun for the viewers, I think, for the one day that it lasted. But didn't he say he wants to be top 5 by the end of this year, something like that, after he left the jungle camp or whatever you call it? So, good luck to him. I'm gonna say that.
Current Australian Davis Cup captain Lleyton Hewitt said he doubts Tomic will play for Australia in the Davis Cup ever again.
We bent over backwards to help Ernie in so many ways, and at the end of the day, you've got to want to help yourself as well. We can only hand out an olive branch, and you've got to be willing to take that. Yeah, he's digging a big hole for himself that he may not be able to get out of.
Lleyton Hewitt's comments sparked a counter-reaction from Tomic, believing that the only way Australia will win the Davis Cup is if he competes in it.
Yeah, I don't care what Lleyton said. I never lost to him, so I know the only way for Australia to win Davis Cup is going to be with me and Nick playing. And
Wow, that's a big call.
Despite what critics might say, it did seem like Tomic was serious about his desire to return to tennis again. He started training again and eventually returned to the tennis circuit. Despite a slow return, Tomic gradually gained back his tennis momentum. He battled through all the qualifying rounds to enter the main rounds at most of the ATP tournaments he participated in. His progress made promise as he made it to the second round of the 2018 Wimbledon tournament and making it to the semi-finals of the Rosmalen Grass Court Championships, losing to eventual champion Richard Gasquet. However, in September, Tomic achieved his biggest breakthrough in recent years after clinching the Chengdu title in China, his first ATP title in 3 years. It wasn't an easy journey, as Tomic had to save a match point in his second round match against the big serving South African, Lloyd Harris. In the final round against the world number 13, Fabio Fognini, Tomic had to save more match points, this time 4 of them, to finally defeat the Italian 6-1, 3-6, 7-6.
Bernard Tomic is a champion on the ATP World Tour once again.
Tomic is expected to enter into the top 100 again with a ranking of 77. With this rank, Tomic is able to secure a spot in the main draw of the 2019 Australian Open. With this recent win, Tomic's career seems to be back on track for now, and we wish him the best of luck for the upcoming seasons. As evident from his emotions, the win in Chengdu meant a lot to him more than we realise.
Whose emotions, as you can see, are very close to the surface. As the rain starts to fall in Chengdu, Bernard Tomic caps a stunning week. He's back in the winner's circle. What a match. He saves 4 championship points to beat Fabio Fognini.
Despite the controversies that taunt his name, it seems his unusual stint on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here may have been a turning point for him. It may have matured him, but it has for sure made him realise that he really does have the desire to play tennis again. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe.